Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be taking the ultimate router that I made in a video a little while back and actually swapping it out with my current router because I never did that in the previous video. Now, before we get too far into this video, I want to take just a minute to thank the sponsor, NordPass. Keeping track of all your passwords can be a hassle, but you also want to keep your data safe. Fortunately, there's NordPass, a super easy to use password manager that works across all your devices and sets the bar for security with their advanced encryption and zero-knowledge architecture. But what is zero-knowledge architecture? It means that not even NordPass employees have access to your password data. When you use NordPass, your password data is encrypted on your device. The encrypted data is then sent to the NordPass servers, where it's stored securely. When you want to access a password or credit card number, the encrypted data is sent back to your device, where it is decrypted with a key that only you have access to. So if for some reason NordPass was to get hacked and your entire vault was leaked, without the decryption key on your devices, any bad actors would just be left with a bunch of meaningless ones and zeros. With NordPass, you can enjoy the peace of mind that comes with knowing your passwords are safe and secure. And right now you can get a special deal on 2 years of NordPass plus 1 month for free by going to nordpass.com/hardwarehaven or by using the code hardwarehaven at checkout. Step up your online security and get signed up with NordPass today. If you haven't watched that first video, definitely go watch that now because this one won't really make sense. But essentially I made this goofy looking little machine here that is essentially just running PFSense in a virtual machine on top of Proxmox, and then also has a few containers for PiHole and WireGuard, and then I'm probably going to try to add Nginx today, or at least sometime here soon. And the idea is that we have a router and then all of these other network type services all running on one box. Now, one of the cool things about this, and I can't really show it here, but I'm sure I can show it in some B-roll, is that PFSense is actually running off of a dedicated SSD. So if for some reason I decide to ditch the whole Proxmox VM thing, I can actually just boot PFSense off of that SSD directly and still have a perfectly working router. I may have to configure some interfaces, but it should basically just boot up and work, which is pretty nice if I ever decide that I don't want to do the whole virtual machine thing, or if I start having issues. I also want to really quickly, before we get started, you can skip ahead if you don't care about any of this and just want to see the whole process of swapping this out, but I'd like to comment on a few criticisms and questions I sort of got from the last one, and the biggest thing was why virtualize PFSense and run these other services as containers when PFSense can essentially do all of those things. And part of it, honestly, was not realizing what all PFSense was capable of. I knew there were certain things it could do in certain packages. Like, for example, WireGuard, I believe I remember being an experimental package, and I think maybe that's why I just sort of avoided it. But apparently it works just fine, so, you know, why would I run it in a separate virtual machine or container when PFSense can just do that running bare metal? And same with using PF Blocker instead of PiHole. And I think there's a few reasons. I mean, first of all, I didn't quite realize what all PFSense could do just out of the box and with the packages you can get for it. But I think also I like the idea of having flexibility because yeah, PF Blocker may be able to do all the things that PiHole can do. It may even be better, but maybe I want to use PiHole, or maybe I want to use something, you know, maybe I want to use AdGuard Home. Is that it, right? Hold on, let me look it up before I make a fool of myself. Yeah, maybe I want to use AdGuard Home or something like that because of, you know, reasons that may make sense for me that may not make sense for you or whatever. I like having that flexibility. Same with WireGuard. Yeah, PFSense can run WireGuard with an experimental package, but what if I want to use WireGuard for a little bit, but then the next cool VPN technology comes out and I want to switch to using that? It's going to be tricky if I'm waiting on a package to come out for PFSense that may have bugs when I could just spin up another container that runs this new VPN technology, and that's great. Or I want to spin up Tailscale or something else. I like having the flexibility of being able to not rely on PFSense for anything more than basically just being a router. So that's sort of my thought process on that. I know I had a lot of questions and I sort of answered some of it in the description, but oh yeah, and same thing sort of for Nginx as well. I want to spin up a container running Nginx for reverse proxy, and I know that PFSense has some reverse proxy functionality, but I may just want to use Nginx and not have to use, you know, that thing. So I like this idea of being able to have everything running on one machine, but still have a lot of the flexibility of virtual machines and containers. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, yeah, fair enough. Like, you do you. I mean, if it makes sense for you to just run PFSense bare metal and use the packages and services that exist within PFSense, that's great. Like, I'm not arguing against that. I think that's a great idea. I think it just really depends on preferences and use case and things like that. So yeah, let's actually get started with this though. And you might notice I'm filming from a different direction because I'm actually at my computer, so I can do some things, because a lot of this is going to be just in a web browser trying to configure things. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is let's go ahead and hop over to the web browser. I'm in my router here, my router control panel for my current TP-Link ER605 that I'm going to get rid of. And I'm basically just going to make sure and copy and download all of the settings in here that I'll need to know to make sure I can configure PFSense correctly, but also be able to go back and hunt down all my devices that are on static IPs or things like that, and be able to switch them over to the new subnet that I'm going to have set up with PFSense. So first things first, I'm going to go to this DHCP client list. And I actually did this before. I wish there was a way to export this in a CSV or something like that. Instead, I'm literally just going to copy all of this very poorly and then paste it into Notepad. And it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. I'll be able to at least reference certain things. Like, for example, if I go down here to TrueNAS, you can see that it's pretty easy for me to pull up the IP address. So I should be able to reference things if I have issues. So I'm going to just keep that. I guess really, I probably could have just done it with this address reservation list. So I'm going to do that instead. Okay, and these should just be the ones that are set as reserved, DHCP reserved. The other thing I want to double check on is my NAT, or port forwarding, and that is here. And I think for this, I'm just going to, you know what, I can do the same thing. Hit save, and I should be able to reference this when we need to kind of configure all of the port forwarding and things like that in PFSense. So, and that might be it. I don't have anything else really going on here. Yeah, so I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to plug this into my gateway from my ISP into the WAN port. And then on the LAN port, I'm just going to plug it directly into my PC here on a USB interface so that I can essentially be on both subnets or both networks, this router and my current router at the same time, and start getting some of this stuff plugged in without losing internet. And I'm also going to run this in bridge mode or whatever it's called on my current router. You have to have the MAC address of this router that I have to give to my gateway from the ISP to basically pass through, I think it's using DHCP technically. I actually don't really know. Basically, I have to tell my router that my ISP gave me to use this as my router instead of the ER605 that it's currently using. So I'm going to hook them both up at the same time with the goal that I can kind of just switch it in real time and be able to still have internet at least on this desktop, and then I'll actually get everything wired up with my switches and start switching things over. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, so we're back. I have you can't see it because it's tucked way down underneath in a weird spot because of, too much going on. I'm not going to show it because it's an ugly mess, but I have the WAN port plugged into my gateway from my ISP. I have the LAN port for PFSense plugged into a USB adapter that I can plug into my computer. And then I have the port for Proxmox plugged into my current local network. So I should have access to everything. Now, one thing I didn't think through is with how my router from my internet service provider is set up, I don't have access to it normally. So to get access to it normally, I have it actually set up on its own Wi-Fi SSID. And so I can log into that and then access the control panel for that router using that Wi-Fi network. But I don't have Wi-Fi on my desktop, and I just didn't think that through. And so I'm actually using Parsec right now to remote into one of those Lenovo M715Q Gen 2s that I worked on that's been in my living room that I've been using to stream some games with my wife recently, which has been awesome. Yeah, so we're remoted into that right now, and then that is on Wi-Fi on this network so it can get to this IP address for my internet service provider's router. So here, I believe we have to go to home network. It's been a while since I did this. Or maybe it's firewall. Maybe it's under IP pass-through. Let me get this. Okay, so I forgot my access code. Had to figure that out. But we're here. I should be able to go to firewall, IP pass-through. And then if we look here, I'm assuming this unknown right here is in fact our MAC address. So I'm going to double check that. One nice thing about running a YouTube channel is when you forget things, it's pretty easy to go back and remember your IP addresses because you have footage of it, you know, until it doesn't work. Guys, I'm so dumb. I've been trying to log into Proxmox for the last like 5 minutes, not even realizing I never turned the router on. It's Hardware Haven. Okay, so I'm in Proxmox here, and I'm trying to just figure out the MAC address for our PFSense machine for the LAN port. So I'm going to get into the shell here, and then I have config-a, Intel gigabit for WAN. Okay, so it looks like the MAC address for this is in fact this 2CF7. Yeah, we're not seeing it here in this list. So what we should be able to do though, all right, we're just gonna write this down. So that's the MAC address for our current router, and we're gonna switch that to manual entry for this one here in a minute. So we'll do that here in a minute, but for now, we're just gonna leave that as is. I'm going to connect to our WAN port directly on our new router so we can get into the PFSense web UI and do some things there. So 1 second. Okay, so we have this Ethernet 6 here that should here any second. Okay, yeah, IPv4 address 192.168.10.100. And we look good. So let's try going back to here. We'll go .10.1. We're in PFSense. Sweet. Cool. We are, what is going on here? Yeah, nothing's plugged into it. That's fine. Okay, cool. So we're in PFSense. I did do a few things here off camera beforehand, just kind of when I had some time after filming the first video. So I just made sure the assignments here are correct. And then this LAN port is, I gave the subnet of 192.168.10.1 just because I want to get off the 1.1 subnet for a few reasons. And then, yeah, I made sure that this stuff was unchecked because we're not going to be behind our 192.168.1 subnet. Yeah, so that should be good. There's definitely going to be some more configuration I do in here once I get it set up, but the goal is just to get it set up, internet working, and then like real basic stuff going on. So for firewall, under rules for LAN, this is super simple. We just have the lockout rule. And then we just have currently allow LAN to any, just to get things up and running. So I may add some more stuff once I get this second LAN port working. And then at some point I'd like to do some VLAN stuff. I want to change my switches because my whole networking little setup is a big cluster. So I want to kind of clean that up, get it all on one nicer switch, and set up some VLANs for my security cameras and things like that. So, but for now, I think I just want to try to get this working. So we're gonna do something really scary, and we are going to try and save this. Oh, seems like it refreshed, so. Changes saved. Okay. So now, there's a really good chance when I go to PFSense, if I go to WAN interfaces, WAN, DHCP. Let's see, we should get, at some point this should change. I know when I set this up on my router that I currently have, it took a while for that change to take place. So I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to wait until we get a public IP address here, because we should. Can I see? Oh yeah, that's spoofing MAC address. Can I see the actual MAC address just to make sure I'm good? That'd be nice, you know? Haha, there we go. Yeah, so this is the MAC address. That looks exactly like what I put in here. Okay, what's this release WAN? That may break stuff, who knows? Renew WAN. Come on, let's see this work. Hey, there we go. I got to blur some stuff because we have an IPv4 address for our public IP address. There we go. Looking good. And now, hopefully, if we go to google.com, I'm just going to go to change adapter options. I'm going to disable this network connection. Hey, we have internet. Yeah, nice. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to swap out my router. Because I think what I can do, I'm going to think through this a little bit as we're going. I can swap out my router. Anything that's DHCP should just be, given an IP address on the new subnet. Anything that is set to static, I'm going to have to go through and manually do that. But what I should be able to do is set up two interfaces on my computer to my local network, one on the .1 subnet and one on the .10 subnet. So that way I should be able to access both. Yeah, I'll figure this all out. I think I'm going to go ahead and go swap this router for my other one in there. So see you in a bit. Okay, this is my really disgusting little network closet thing kind of going on. And I have, like I said, I have this switch, that switch, and then this little PoE switch that I'd like to all get rid of and just get one big switch and do some, like a little patch panel with these cables, but that's for another video. For now, I just need to get rid of this TP-Link router and get everything else set up on there. And I just now realized I'm currently using multiple, dang it. I may have to think some things through here. I know this is my WAN, and I know this is, basically I think I have little patch cables to both of these switches. So I may just have to redo how I'm doing some of these switches. So shouldn't be a big deal. I'll see you in just a second. Bye, buddy. You did a good job for a while. Okay, sorry I didn't film the process. It's just gonna be really cramped in this little tiny closet. But yeah, we have this hooked up. I have WAN coming in here all the way from my router, and then here we have the LAN going to this main managed switch here, and then that just chains over to this unmanaged switch and this unmanaged switch here, and I just move some of the other cables around, and then this is just Proxmox control going back into this switch. So back to the desktop. Everything should be wired up correctly. Let's see if we can get it all working. All right, so I accidentally didn't record properly, so I cut out some stuff, but I'll just kind of catch you back up. I did a little bit of messing around here, and if I go to my network devices, on this USB adapter here, I have this set up on a static IP address of 192.168.1.259, or .59, oh my gosh, just because I know that's a static IP address that's open and available on the .1 network there. And then on my main gigabit connection. Ignore this 100 megabytes per second thing. I think there's a bad connection with a cable in there. I'll double check it. I've had that issue before. I need to just fix this run. Don't worry about it. It should be gigabit. But we can see we have our .10 address here. So that DHCP is working. Our DNS is working currently with Cloudflare. Everything's good. I actually went to PFSense, logged in, and we can see our DHCP list. So a lot of my devices have started populating here, which is great. Even my Drive Store 4 is there, and that's over a Wi-Fi connection. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, so it looks like DHCP is working, internet's working. Oh, and also what I did, I went to TrueNAS and was able to access it on the .1.41 address it was before, because I have two interfaces right now on different subnets. And then I was able to change it from .1.41 to .10.41 and then save it. And so now I'm just going to basically be doing that for the rest of my static IP address devices. So first thing, I have two access points that I need to access. So let me get those. All right, so these access points should have a static IP address of .1.11. And so I'm just going to simply change these to .10.11. I don't need those to be DHCP, that's fine. And make the gateway .10, primary DNS .10, no secondary DNS. Cool, we'll hit save. And then this should take us to the new address. If I log in, we should see that management is .10.11. Yay! We'll do that for the second IP address, or I have two access points. I'm gonna do it for the second one. and I just won't worry about showing that to you guys because, yeah. So both of my wireless access points are on the correct thing there. Now I'm just going to start going through this list of, not NAT, but the list of things here. So these were some of my allocated DHCP addresses. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down this list of MAC addresses, find them in my DHCP client list, and then start allocating them the IP addresses I want them to have. I'm just going to start knocking those things out, and I'll kind of let you know how things go, because I don't think you want to see all of this. So I'll do one. I'm going to do this desktop here. This is my main desktop, so I'm going to copy this MAC address really quick, and then I'll get off of this. Okay, so PFSense here. I want to go find. I'm just going to paste this real quick. Oh, it's not on there. Okay. So what's mine? Okay, so this is the MAC address it has. Why are you not there? What's the IP address on this guy? .127. That's weird. I'm not sure why it's showing a different desktop. Anyway, I'm going to add a static mapping here. IP address 192.168.10.85. Just because that's what it's been for a long time. I'm familiar with it. So, and that should be all we need to do. Description, just call it main PC. All right, hit save, apply changes, just disable it, and then re-enable it, because Windows doesn't have a simple DHCP renew option, which is annoying. There we go, we got our 10.85 address. I'm just gonna do this for a lot of my stuff so I know where it's at. I should be able to log into it on the old IP address of, for example, actually, let's do a fun one here. I'm actually going to log into my main little Debian. Actually, it's Ubuntu, not Debian. This is before I kind of got tired of Ubuntu and switched over to running Debian for most things. Yeah, I need to, there's a lot of updates I need to do on this thing. Ooh, shoot. For now, let's just get static IP address fixed. So, to do that, okay, it took me a little bit of looking up. I forgot with the Ubuntu, it's different than Debian. So, I just have to go to nano, etc net plan, and then there's this one file in there, this .yaml file. Should be able to just go down here to IP address. I'm going to change this 10.93 for now. There's a really good chance I'll change this to DHCP later on. And then name servers, I'm going to get rid of this and do 192.168.10.1. And then hit this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do it again. This was all set up when I was really new to this stuff. I want to completely overhaul this server because this is running a lot of my containers and things like that. So, all right. I should be able to hit save. And then I think it's netplan. Sorry. Sudo before I forget. Netplan apply. And IPA. Okay. Let's just try a little reboot here. Hopefully it won't reconnect. If it doesn't reconnect, that's a good sign. Hey, all right, cool. So I'm logged back into this Ubuntu server on the new IP address, so that worked. And I'm going to run some updates because, Jesus, I need some updates. Okay, so after a lot of, not a lot, it wasn't that bad, but some tedious work of getting things inputted. Yeah, I'll just show you. I have Proxmox here set up on 192.168.10.2. Just on a static IP. I might move that over to DHCP here soon, we'll see. And then PFSense, I have my port forwarding, which there's actually not that much because I realized most of it was for videos and was just disabled. So yeah, port forwarding. And then here I have my DHCP server and I have my client list, but you can just see down here at the bottom, we have some static mappings for various things on my network, like my cameras and NASs and things like that. So my cameras are working, my security system's working, all of my servers so far are working. I did go in, I had to do some Nginx stuff. I had to go into my Nginx conf and change a few things, but now because of that, I actually should be able to go to, let's see if this works, $5psu.com. Hey, and I need to update this. I need to go in and manage and change this little thing that I can change. But we have a current uptime because the backend, the actual server that's running that $5 power supply computer, that server is actually up and running, and Nginx is doing its whole reverse proxy thing. So yeah, that's cool. I don't know. There's not a whole lot else besides getting into some more fun things. I think I have port forwarding taken care of. I have most of my IP address stuff taken care of. I did notice that if I go to Home Assistant, most everything is working just fine. Most things are working fine. The cameras, I'll have to reload those because the IP address has changed, but a few other integrations changed. I don't know how much of this I'm going to show because there's some private stuff. So yeah, there's a few integrations that have failed, but for the most part, everything's working pretty well. So that is cool. I'm not sure exactly what else I have to do. Oh, duh, of course I do. I need to figure out the WireGuard and PiHole thing here. So what I'm going to do, start with PiHole. Okay, so here we have this static IP set of 192.168.1.43, and I want to change that. So let's go, I think here it should be, there we go. Okay, I should be able to just change this to, I could do DHCP. I'm just gonna do static IP address, that's fine. Whatever, I can probably fix this later, but so for now, I'm just gonna do 10.4. This is 10.1. Hit that, looks right. And then we'll do CTL, restart, networking.service. I believe that's right. And then now I can do status. There we go. And then IP address. There we go. So we have our IP address set up. I'm going to do the exact same thing now for WireGuard. Okay, quick little update here. Sorry, I was being dumb and forgot with LXC containers. You actually set all of the IP address stuff in this network tab for that. So instead of setting this, trying to set it in Debian, you would just set it here. And I'm going to go ahead and do DHCP instead of static, and then I'll set it in PFSense the same way. So don't try to change it in the container, because once you restart the container, then it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, whoops. Okay, we're back. So I actually just did a quick little ping on both of our LXC containers just to make sure they're up and running. And now I'm going to first of all come in here to PFSense. Where's the default DNS? Why am I dumb? Ah, duh. Okay, general setup. This is pretty easy. DNS servers. We want to change this to .10.4. Then we'll hit save. I actually want to make sure really quickly that this is set up correctly. Okay, yeah, we're just using Cloudflare for here. And I want to get this set up better. I want to do some unbound stuff. I think that'll be really cool. Right now, I'm just using it. Well, right now I'm using it for nothing. I am going to add a bunch of local DNS records here pretty soon. And then I would like to set it up to use unbound and things like that. But we'll get back to that later. For now, it is set up, and if I go to our DHCP server, nope, not relay, server, for LAN, we can come down here and remove this DNS servers guy. I'll hit save. Going to disable this really quick, then re-enable it, and then we should get our new DNS server. Haha, and then well, it's just showing 10.1, but that is resolving to PiHole. So now if I go to $5powersupply.com, cool, we're still getting DNS. I can go to hardwarehaven.media again. Sweet. It's working. And now I just need to set up WireGuard. I need to set that up, but yeah, I already showed how to do it. It's the same thing. So yeah, I want to go ahead and install Nginx on this in a container and get that up and running, but I feel like that's going to make this video way too long, and I feel like this video's already been really long. But yeah, hopefully this kind of gives an idea of what moving over from your old router to a new one might look like if you have a decent amount of stuff on your network. I am sorry for all of the not so great stuff. I'm an amateur. I'm just kind of throwing this thing together. So thanks for sticking along for the ride. If you have any comments, criticisms, concerns, that sort of thing, make sure to put them down in the description below. Also, thanks again to NordPass for sponsoring this video and making this all happen. So make sure to go over to nordpass.com/hardwarehaven or use the code hardwarehaven to get an exclusive deal plus 1 month for free. Hopefully this was fun. Hopefully it maybe helps you if you ever decide to swap out routers. And I think that's about it though. So thank you so much for watching. Stay curious, and I really hope to see you in the next one.